Welcome to Melo Madness Sports Podcast. Uh, this is a special episode 4, and today we are going to be talking about UFC 300. If you're new, this is Melo Madness Sports Podcast. I try to bring you all the latest news, analysis, discussions from around the world, pretty much anything I could bring you. Sometimes we'll definitely have some good guests on here to give some good commentary and some debates here and there. Today, we have a special guest. It's actually my first guest on the podcast, so I'm very excited. And while we are not going to technically be debating, we definitely will be having some good conversations leading up to probably what is one of the best cards UFC has ever given us. So for those of you, well, I say for those of you who can't see, but actually no one can see. But either way, Franky, why don't you go ahead and give us an introduction about yourself?
Yeah, bro. My name is Franky Rodriguez. I'm a fellow New Yorker. Grew up in NYC, LES, representing. Currently run the Three Amigo podcast with my three amigos, or my two other amigos. You could just look us up on YouTube or on Spotify for Three Amigos. And yeah, we talk everything pop culture related. We don't do sports too much, but we definitely talk more movies, television, everything pop culture related. Pop culture is everything. MMA, sports, it's all pop culture. That's my argument. With people who say, nah, it's more like, celebrity stuff. Nah, it's everything. It's everything. Pop culture is everywhere. It's fashion, everything.
Everything that touches the culture.
Exactly. It's pop, but popular culture, our focus is mainly like movies. We'll do comics. We'll sometimes even do single podcasts just to like give our own, take on something that we may have just seen on our end, whether it's a show or movie, or a game we've played. We're putting out our opinion out there. Just, opinion. Some of us are feisty about our opinions. Some of us are not. I tend to be in the middle. Don't want to rile too many feathers. The last time we riled feathers was probably because of wrestling. Or not actually, no. Helldivers 2. We riled a little bit of feathers for Helldivers 2. A little bit.
Y'all dropped the Helldivers 2 video?
Well, we just talked about it.
Was it a good thing or a bad thing? Because I fight for man's democracy.
Yo, I saw you posting. See, the thing is, I don't have a PlayStation 5, so yeah, it was weird that people were like, "Oh, why are you commenting for a game you haven't played it? Only one of y'all played it." But this is like, well, from an outsider's perspective, it's affecting the cult. That thing was like, and it's still being talked about.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
why.
Trust me, I literally play multiple times a week.
Good.
I had to give it a break after like a month, but to me, at least, I was obsessed when it first came out. So as you said, hundreds of thousands of people playing it daily. So
exactly. So like that's affecting the culture. It's popular, so we had to talk about it, and that actually blew up. That was one of our best performing ones so far.
So they weren't happy with your opinions?
It was weird. It was mainly popular, but it was just like they were like a little, I guess, concern about what we were spewing out, which was just like, just like superficial things. Because like, live service, I know it's not technically a live service game, but there's, we threw in some comparisons and like how things could go. But, we applauded the game overall because so far, it's popular. They're doing things right. We even like the creator of the game or one of the directors, or I can't remember, like was very adamant saying don't buy the game until it's like ready. Yeah, even though that's costing them money, and that was very.
They did not anticipate that high amount of people.
Yeah, and that was very like valiant of him to say that. It's very brave, I guess, to say, and especially in an industry that could be like make or break, honestly, like anything really. So
a small game like that, big market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially because it's a complete 180 to what the game was originally. It was like a top,
Yeah, looking down. Yeah. Like a 2D. Yeah. I'll be honest, I would have never played that.
Exactly. I mean,
I would have never played that.
I would have tried it, but like this game is like, if you had told me those were the same game or like same game line, wouldn't have believed you. So. No, stuff like that. Understand. That's what we see. Like, see how I got you talking about it. Like,
as soon as you said Helldivers, I was like, reporting for duty. What you said?
So I don't want to take over, but please check us out. We talk about stuff like that on YouTube. We respond to comments. At least we try to when we don't get overwhelmed, or at least when we don't get too much hate.
No, I definitely got to get better at responding to comments myself. But obviously, that is basically part of the reason why I brought you on. We we're able to talk so freely. And
Yeah.
I met you 10 years ago, Keuka College. And since then, obviously, we led our own lives, done our own things. But something that always brought us together, especially, like we're hitting each other up,
Yep.
commenting on each other's things,
Yep.
always been fighting. So as soon as I made the podcast, I was like, I do want to bring guests on here and there. UFC 300 was right around the corner. I was like, I know exactly who I want to bring on, and I'm like, me and Frank are gonna have some good conversations, and
I
I
appreciate
definitely think I do think we have some good topics to talk about. And I definitely hope the fans enjoy our conversations as well. So
Same,
let's just
same, man.
definitely get right into it.
Yeah.
So, UFC 300, man. Like I said, it's probably one of the best cards we've ever seen. It's definitely supposed to be promised to be the best card, and obviously they didn't disappoint. Obviously, first fight of the night, which is not normal because it's the early prelims, but we got former champions facing each other, Davison and Cody Garbrandt. Last fight of the night, obviously we got a current champion versus a former champion, and the former champion never lost his belt. He just had to give it up.
Yep.
And a slew of former champions, current champions, pretty much new prospects, like anyone you could think of, all in between.
Yeah.
We got obviously Zhang Weili defending her belt, Justin Gaethje defending his BMF belt, Aljamain Sterling's first fight at featherweight, Bo Nickel first fight in the main card. He's definitely been doing good with an unbeaten streak. And obviously, one of the big topics is Kayla Harrison and her UFC debut. So definitely think Dana White didn't disappoint. Funny enough, this was the B side of that card. They were supposed to promise us John Jones, Conor McGregor. Like there was supposed to be a lot more other fights we were supposed to get, but obviously a lot of things didn't pan out. But I do think that Dana and the company definitely pulled a good card together. So what do you think about this card? So do you think it's actually touted or can be touted as the best card we've ever seen?
I'm inclined to disagree, man. I am. We're actually. You said we weren't going to debate, but I think we're going to debate. Nah, I look. It's not a bad card by any means. It was looking pretty rough before.
Yes.
And then they stacked it, and this is a very respectable card. Like you said, though, you pointed out, and it should be seen. It should be noted. Especially for casuals out there, and I don't say casuals to be mean at all. There's casuals. My cousin, he loves watching boxing strictly, but will watch the UFC because he loves combat sports. But he's a casual, and he admits that. So people like that who love combat sports, but maybe have a better taste for something else, that's either boxing, kickboxing, and not MMA, because you don't want to see the full MMA part of MMA.
Right. Yeah.
But here, man, this is a well balanced card full of strikers, wrestlers. BJJ, judoka fighters in here. It's a well balanced card. Is it one of the best and greatest cards ever? That's yet to, it could be. It definitely could be afterwards, after the night, after it's said and done. It could be. For all we care, the last 3 title fights could go all 5 rounds, and people usually don't want 5 rounds, but it could be a 5 rounds of back and forth slugging, especially with the people in there. Technically, you don't want to put your money on 5 rounds for the main event, which is here and Hill. You really don't.
Yeah. Someone's getting knocked out.
Exactly. So you think we've been wrong. MMA math, that's a real thing. Like I guess that's dubbed out there. MMA math, it either makes sense or it doesn't. And you never know with MMA, and that's when you say MMA math. Like it's just sometimes it just doesn't math. Or it does. But this card it's solid. Before, though, it was looking pretty rough. It was they didn't even have a main event really tapped in until Fierro, I think, won the belt, and then a month or 2 later, it was announced that it was going to be him and Hill. It was like after another UFC event, and everyone was
and if he lost, they would have had nobody.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. But overall, it was everyone was when they announced that this would be the main event for 300, people were underwhelmed, and they still are underwhelmed, and I get that. That's their opinion. You want a name out there. You would have probably preferred Izzy on 300. You probably would have preferred Fierro versus Izzy for the 205 belt. That's people probably wanted, but Izzy's not physically or mentally able, or he's just not willing. He probably wants to talk numbers. Who knows? You wanted, like you pointed out, people wanted Jones, and we thought it was going to be Jones, but maybe it was money, maybe it was timing, maybe it was his camp. it could be a number of any of those things, and especially now coming out that he's having some legal troubles once again.
Yep.
He's not doing well in that record. He's like 0-5 with that.
I know, man. At this point, I don't know when we're gonna see him again.
I'm at this point, like, he should be stripped, man. I'm sorry. Like, I'm one of
Yes.
those guys. If there's inactivity, you gotta strip him. And
Oh,
Connor,
I was upset that they allowed him to be an interim after his injury. Aspinall didn't win. Like, he deserved that. They should. To me, they should have been stripped Jones.
yeah, they should have. So I don't know. But like, I get there was always potential, and especially if they quote unquote say for these bigger cards, these like century
Yes.
cards or 300s. But also, you got to remember, it's just a number. It's not technically even 300. It's like 3 plus something, because they had like
Wait, they had one every week.
Not even that. It's just like the pay-per-view ones, like they had some that were like there was one that had like a decimal in it or something.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
there was like a few.
So we're
pay-per-views back in the
technically
day.
a few past 300. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So I get it, and so it, like, I just think people shouldn't read too much into it. You have a solid stacked card. People have already like feel like bored because of some of the fight nights that they do. But even then, I'm always happy to have a fight night, because that's how you see prospects. That's how you see contenders. That's how you see a lot of what you have on this card now because of those fight nights. Gaethje made his living on those fight nights, man. That's how he got. That's how he got his pay-per-view. He fought on fight nights, and that's how he got his pay-per-view money. And now he's fighting again on another pay-per-view. He's probably gonna earn another fight of the night and get another bonus. So, you got to watch everything, and if not everything, at least watch something, so you can be ready for these stacked pay-per-view cards. And it is stacked. So
yeah. So I think I definitely hear what you're saying. That's why I kind of said, like, this is the B list. We were supposed to get a way better card.
You said that beautifully, man.
But this might be the first time in a while where I guess not necessarily casuals, but just like I know I'm definitely watching all the fights that day.
Same.
And it's been a long time that I felt that way in UFC. Like I said, I'll pick a few fights here. Like, I'll know who I'm looking for. Like, all right, this is his first fight in UFC. I know where he's coming from. Let me see how he do. Things like that. But from first fight to last fight, I'm definitely excited. And I definitely think, like, on paper, we should have a lot of good fights. But obviously, we'll definitely see how they pan out.
Yeah, there's going to be people stuck on the prelims and even the early prelims. I think they're going to have early prelims, I assume. Like, Jim Miller should be on the main card, in my opinion. That dude's fought on 100, 200, and now he's fighting on 300.
Just give him an equally even opponent.
Yeah.
And let them bang it out.
And they did with Bobby Green. I think it's money.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah. But they put Bo Nickel.
Yeah. Instead. What are you going to do? They're trying to hype him up, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be their future cash cow. That's what they want. And that's how you always know, is because when these undefeated fighters that you could argue either have no name to you or have a plenty name to someone else, it's because they're trying to build you up.
100%. And that actually, that's lovely, because speaking of building up, that actually leads us right into our first conversation, talking about one of the fighters in the main event. So obviously the main event is Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, light heavyweight belt. So a little history about Alex for those who don't know, which at this point, if you don't know anything about Alex, there's not much to know, but if you don't know, I don't know how. Because he pretty much came into the UFC 2021, took the UFC by storm. He now has a 6-1 record in the UFC. Basically came in because of his history with then champion Israel Adesanya. Basically won 3 straight, ended up getting a title fight, beat Izzy in the title fight, got his title rematch, or Izzy got his rematch. He got his first title defense. Izzy ended up beating him. Alex move up, go right to a light heavyweight, fight a legend in Jan Blachowicz, then beat Yuri for the belt. After that, now this is going to be his first title defense. So 2024, yeah. So 3 years, 7 fights in the UFC, 2 belts. If he wins this, that's going to be 8-1, 2 belts and a title defense. And I would like to add, because this is a whole nother conversation, but I do want to ask, do you think title defenses are crucial for MMA fighter's legacy?
Absolutely. I think it's like asking a boxer, like, you know, can you defend your belt? And I know some of them just win a belt and move up. And that's kind of what they do now.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the case before. It's like you defended whatever weight belt they had back in the day. It's only now recently where you have all these different lineages of belts in boxing.
So many.
So many, and it's all convoluted now, and it's not friendly to newcomers. But with MMA, it's friendly, I think,
Mm-hmm.
enough that you can understand it, even though there's a huge gap in some weight classes. But it's still easy, and then it's easy enough to understand that it's hard. It's a hard sport. It's not an easy
Mm-hmm.
sport because it's literally mixed martial arts, which includes every style except punching in it below the belt. You can't do that, but pretty much everything else you could do, within reason. And in some promotions, you could still head kick, soccer
Yeah,
kick. And that to some viewers, that's violence. To some others, it's like, yeah, that should be
it's
everywhere.
part of fighting. Yeah.
It's part of fighting. Kneeing a down opponent, it's part of fighting. Don't get kneed in the head if you're good. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's something like Joe Rogan says, like when it comes to like BJJ and wrestling, it's like you can't get out of it, then oh well, too bad. The ref shouldn't stand you up. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
components to MMA that just when you win a fight, that's impressive in itself. When you win a belt, that's great. Can you defend it now against all challenges of all forms of mixed martial arts? And there's been an array of champions that were either well balanced or stuck to one practice and were able to do the deed. There's a few champions out there that never were able to defend it. You
Yep.
know, but does that affect their legacy? Maybe, but it truly depends. Best example: Eddie Alvarez won the 155 belt from Dos Anjos. Didn't defended it once, lost it to McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
Tough first opponent. First of all, like, come on,
Right.
that hype train.
And
Like,
that
come
was a
on.
crazy fight.
It was a crazy fight, but it's but it's also good. Back in the day too, you had to give McGregor his props because he was on a different level somehow,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
made a veteran, a guy who wasn't even that old yet at the time. He made him look like he was a rookie with the striking, which
Mm-hmm.
is crazy. And Eddie's a
No,
wrestler.
it
Yeah,
made no sense.
Eddie could have wrestled him. Eddie's a wrestler, but his striking was what propelled him to great heights because he fought overseas and he fought in these other promotions that weren't the UFC, but people saw him and he won great classic fights. And then he won the belt in the UFC and then didn't win it and couldn't defend it. But it doesn't affect his legacy too much as one of the best lightweights to ever do it. One of the guys below 150, 170, 185. He's regarded to me, in my opinion, he is one of my personal favorites on that list of top under 185, under 205, one of the lighter weight guys.
Oh yeah.
But he couldn't defend the UFC belt, and that sucks. It really does suck, but I don't think it affects his legacy. But for someone like, say, I don't know who's another person who I think Sean
So
Sherk
my
maybe.
go-to is always Khabib.
Yeah.
High record outside the UFC. A lot of it
Mm-hmm.
was questionable.
Sure.
In his prime, got where he needed to go, got his belt, didn't stay too long. Obviously, we all know why he left.
Mm-hmm.
But does that affect his legacy? Like you made a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it doesn't necessarily makes someone's legacy drop,
Mm-hmm.
but long title reigns always separate
For sure.
certain people from the rest,
For sure. But if you look at the competition he faced while as champion to defend, it was no slack, man. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't bums. It wasn't last minute replacements. It
Nah,
was
he
killers.
put a couple top contenders away for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he put Gaethje away, which could probably, in my opinion, should have been his toughest opponent. And he finished him in what, round 1, round 2. He put him to sleep, and that's a guy whose striking is scary. And the craziest part is, and people keep forgetting, Gaethje's a wrestler. He was a Division 1 NCAA champ, I'm pretty sure. But he was a Division 1 wrestler, and that's what he was known for, was a wrestler, had cardio for days because he He trains in Colorado, but it was his hands that, again, another guy who just relied on his hands and got him to where it got him. And he just abandoned his wrestling. He could have probably out wrestled Khabib, but he wanted to beat him out on the feet, and that cost him. He got put to sleep, and Gaethje, he knocked out some of the best too. And then Poirier, he was in his prime. He's still in his prime. People were knocking him off in his last fight. He was the underdog, which was crazy.
Yeah, crazy. I actually had an argument with our Franky. He picked in the end. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, do you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's about to go in there and knock Poirier out. I'm like, there's only one person who could probably stand in the pocket with Poirier, and it's the one that knocked him out with a head kick.
Exactly, Gaethje. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know who y'all think he is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I get it. Like, he's up there in age now. He's what, 35, 36 now. But that doesn't mean anything. I get it. When you're older, for any fighter, when you're older, like, you decline. But he looked fine in there. He looked good. I know some people were saying, I think even Rogan was saying, like, oh, he looks like he's tired and gasping.
I think he's more more cautious.
Yeah.
Or not even cautious, more technical. Like, he know he could bang in there, but he's trying to get himself a title shot. That was an important fight for him. He wanted to make sure. Like, and I like, my homeboy said the same thing. He was like, oh, he looked a little slow. I'm like, it's not slow to me. Like, I think he's
picking it. He's picking his shots.
He's picking his shots. Exactly.
That's what a Fort Snyder does. He was a reckless guy at 145 at one point, sure. And guess what? He got knocked out in those fights in 145, even in the early 155 days. He got knocked out by Michael Johnson. No offense to Michael Johnson, but he sucks. Like, that's a guy who's not aged well.
Yeah,
but he's still, I'm proud of him that he's still out there banging, trying to put on good matches. But Poirier is the same stud. He's not a diamond that's rusting. He's a diamond that's still shining and plans on shining, and maybe deserves another shot, at least one more.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm pretty sure he got the next shot, right?
Well, we don't know yet. I think it depends, because there's two pretty important lightweight fights going on this weekend.
In this fight, yeah. So we'll see. We'll definitely see.
Yeah, but legacy, like with that, it's like, like, and I guess when people who don't win a belt, like, say, who's someone who, like, perfect example, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, never won a belt, but regarded as one of the best. It truly does depend. I don't think it affects your legacy so much, but it does put you in a lower tier. We like to put things in tiers and labels. Like, we can put GSP S tier, top of the top, Mount Rushmore of GOATs and pioneers of MMA. And then there's Kamaru Usman, who's more modern, and you could definitely put him in the modern wing, in the modern Mount Rushmore of MMA, because GSP laid the groundwork. Kamaru Usman is the fruits of those labors,
Yeah.
He's the guy, and had he never won a belt and just kept on a crazy massive win streak, we would probably regard him as a top fighter. But he won a belt and he did incredible. In fact, people miss him now probably because he was super active.
Yeah.
So, and that adds to his legacy, and he is on my Mount Rushmore, at least for the modern age.
Oh yeah. I would say him and Izzy. I would say exactly. People don't understand that because I didn't, but a lot of people took them for granted.
I think so.
During their prime, a lot of people just didn't understand. Yes, they just didn't understand what we were witnessing. And now that they're both like got a chance to come back, obviously, but once both their reigns ended, I was like, like, damn, like that's how you know you're getting old. Your favorites are starting to go down. And obviously, Alex Pereira, the person we're talking about, is one of the ones who took him out. So as of right now, as a two-time champion, obviously with his whole resume of kickboxing, just in other organizations, if he wins, get his first UFC title defense, where would you place him? Can he be considered a GOAT? Is it a MMA GOAT but not a UFC GOAT? Like, where would you place him if he were to win this first title defense versus Hill?
It's tough to say. I think if whoever you ask, I think if you ask like someone like who's more liberal, like Joe Rogan, he would say he's probably one of the best. He says that to everybody, that they're one of the best, and that's fair because this sport is not easy. And to go from kickboxing into MMA, but also like people didn't realize that this man is like I'm pretty sure he's a brown or black belt in jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah,
he
at
knows
least
how at least a brown for sure.
hmm
So he knows what he's doing on the ground. And he has Glover on his side, who Glover is a black belt. Has been won countless championships around the world for his grappling. So he has the teacher and the studies and the skill to defend himself. I mean, he didn't show it against Izzy because Izzy somehow, he pulled out that MMA, showed
Yeah.
him he could wrestle. So, it's tough to say. I think I feel like those old school guys who came up watching it would say no. But also there's some of them that are probably say that they're just going to give you the same classic answers of BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, GSP, and all those guys, like all those guys that have since been left the sport. And then there's going to be people like myself who I think I'm cautiously optimistic and rooting for him in the sense that if it happens, great. I don't know. Time will tell how we'll hold him in regard. Because if he wins and defends it, I hope he continues to defend it. And
Right. Yeah.
give him another year and see what happens. And I don't know when he plans on retiring because he is up there in age, and he has nothing much to prove because he made his money in kickboxing, knocked out a bunch of guys, won a bunch of titles, and now he's just here for fun. He did this for fun. He literally did this just to see if he could do it and challenge himself, and he did it. And that's impressive, and that's what you have to applaud. You've never
he definitely did that because of that Izzy interview.
Probably
Talking about that one man in the bar, he was like, excuse me? Definitely pulled him out. Well, obviously he was still fighting. But I would have to say, I think so. I personally do think he has to go down as probably one of the best kickboxers in the world and kickboxers of all time.
Absolutely.
At that point, he's won. Obviously, outside the UFC, he's one of these. I think it was like Waco. He won 3 different kickboxing championships for kickboxing in 3 different organizations.
Yeah,
and then
Glory
obviously
was
Glory
yeah.
was the bigger one where he became the first 2-time division for kickboxing. And the same belts weight classes he won in the UFC. So I do believe he'll go down as one of the MMA GOATs with longevity. But I think I don't think it makes or break a case when it comes to longevity or just having a reign. But I do think that you can't just come in there unless you win 3 rings or 3 belts, then maybe you can win 3 belts and dip. But especially since I know he got fast tracked to the first belt, he didn't fight no top contenders in the middleweight class. No one even close. No. Sean Strickland was the closest one, and that was no one was even impressed by that.
No.
So I felt like if he would have got through a couple of those top contenders, then got Izzy, then moved up, then it would have been a little different.
Had he fought like Costa and Whitaker, would have solidified.
That would have solidified his resume. Yeah, for sure. And at that point, he would have been 10 fights deep with 2 belts. It would have looked a little better because you fought former champions, top contenders, and now you can leave a little bit off. So I think without that, especially because Izzy came right back and KO'd him like that too. I definitely do think that he has to defend his belt successfully and then do more.
Exactly. Yeah. Had he, like you said, had he won the first title defense and then maybe moved up and won double champ status simultaneously, absolutely could put him in that conversation for sure. Because no one would have gotten that fast. No one's ever done it that fast. And no one still has done it that fast the way he did. Yeah, he doesn't have the middleweight belt, but he won the 205 belt relatively super fast. It's ridiculous.
Second fight.
Yeah. So there's room for conversation down the line. For now, I can't put him in the GOAT conversation, but I'll put him down as one of the better modern day MMA fighters or kickboxer turned MMA fighters or second sport fighter.
Yeah, definitely. Especially obviously with this resume before the UFC. So with that now, that's if he win. Now if he loses, that's 2 titles and 2 titles lost in the first defense. Does that affect his legacy, or does that drop his status, or does that not allow him to move up afterwards, even if he wins a couple more fights?
Man, that's a question I don't think anybody's asking. No, I watch these YouTubers and I'm subscribed on the apps to all these MMA news outlets, and no one's asking that. It's just, which is crazy. Which I guess in a way, like you could
I don't think
argue
they're
they're just
expecting it.
yeah. Well,
They're
Hill
not
isn't a
expecting it.
huge underdog either, but it's like they're thinking like Fierre's got this. But the question really should be asked, like, what happens if he does lose? Like, where does he go from there? Does he go back to 185? Which, by the way, I don't know how he ever
Can't
made
make
weight.
that weight.
No, he can't. He can, but like that man.
That's the biggest weight bully I've ever seen in the UFC.
Right? Dude,
ain't no way, man.
You saw how big he got, or not like the report was after he like rehydrated, he was like in the 220s, I think.
Yeah.
Even then, like even before he's just training in the gym, like no fight, not or maybe just beginning weight cutting. He was like at 230, 234. That's heavyweight.
Yeah,
that is heavyweight by 25 pounds.
For a middleweight, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know how that man made that weight. Kudos to him. 205 is where he should stay. I think he should continue to fight there. I think there's challengers that he could put over. I'm talking like wrestling terms almost here, but like, hey, if he would give him the rub in that money fight, he should do it. Like, there's contenders below him. Like, I'm sure Yuri would love that rematch if Fierre loses. And if Fierre wins and Yuri wins, you could easily book that again
easily
in summer if both are healthy. But then you have Alexander Ratchik, who got hurt and was definitely in line to get.
He's waiting,
to this weigh-in, and then you can, he could easily see him sneak in there. I gotta see the 205 list, but
I was about to say it's honestly, like, just think about it. The fact that Glover had a shot, like, there's only about 4 or 5 top dogs there. Mm-hmm. The rest of them are the newcomers. Like, they get potential, but like you are right. He's already faced Jan. He's already faced Yuri. So if he loses to Hill, like, what is it? Rinse and repeat. Like, where is he gonna go? He's already at the top. He's not gonna go fight lower people.
Yeah.
So exactly. that's definitely what I've been thinking about. Because like I think because I don't want to necessarily, like, I do have to take Alex, but I would be lying if I didn't say I kind of hope Hill knocks him out.
I don't. Hey, Hill's got.
I think people sleeping on him so much, and people don't like. He got a good story too. He definitely, like, I think he's. I'm not sure, but I think he's less than 10 fights too. In the UFC, I'm saying that light heavyweight's a very thin division.
Yeah, you could argue it's thin, but it's kind of stacked, man. It's stacked.
You think so?
I think it's stacked. I mean, people soured on Magomed versus Jan. They also need to rebook that, but Dana White was super pissed after that fight when they both ended in a draw. Remember, for the vacant heavyweight belt?
You know what? You're right. I forgot about that.
But Magomed is number 3, man. Like, you can't deny him. And he went out there and won. So, like, I think he won his last fight. I think he fought recently. So, like, you got to give him something.
There's a good top 5 there.
There is a good top 5. And then there's guys breaking into the top 5. Someone I'm personally rooting for is Khalil Roundtree Jr. I love that guy. I've been following his story.
He's number 8. I'm looking at them.
He's number 8. He actually used to live near where I worked.
Nice.
Back a couple years ago, because he was living in the city, and here in New York. And I never, I couldn't bump into him. But I love his story, and I'm rooting for the guy. I know him versus, like, even someone like Johnny Walker. That's a rematch you can have.
I was just looking at that.
He lost to him, but like now they're close. And I would love to see that rematch, or someone like Alexander Ratchik, because like Khalil's a strict, I won't say strict because he's been putting in the work on his ground game, but he's a striker, and a lot of these guys are
10 first round knockouts. I was just looking.
Yeah, like a lot of these dudes in the top 5, top 10 are all striker. Volkan Ozdemir is a straight striker. He's a striker. Nikita, I can't remember if he's a striker or not, but I know like Ratchik is definitely a kickboxer. Jan is clearly a kickboxer, especially with his Polish power. So like, I don't think it's that thin. There's a lot of like killers on in that list.
Yeah, I see. No, I'm definitely looking. That's some.
If anything,
I think. I think is what they're just. I felt like we just got so used to the top few.
Yeah,
But now
Jones.
that I'm looking, yeah, they are deep. Yeah.
It's deep. Like I've seen all these guys
Yeah.
fight. Like I saw a Spam fight Smith, and
No,
that was
some
a
of these
great
names
fight.
are sticking out to me.
Yeah, Alonzo
Yeah.
Metafield cracked the top 15. That's great. Like a low
Like I definitely
Metafield.
knew the top five, but now I remember I did see the Johnny Walker and
Yeah.
Khalil Roundtree fight. You still got Anthony Smith in there, even though he's kind of hanging on.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he's
yeah,
done. That
yes,
the Jones fight
and
took a
yeah,
lot out of him. I mean, he still beat some killers,
yeah.
and Span, but like Reyes, like man, that's another guy who suffered after the Jones fight.
I was about to say he's still up there too.
He
Yeah,
was gonna be the guy to replace Jones after he did leave, and it was not meant to be. It just sucks.
yeah,
But they're still killer, man. Like light heavyweight is still a killer. Heavyweight, on the other hand,
yeah. That's where it's
yeah,
then.
that I think that's where it's been. I mean, yeah, there's good fighters on there, but like none of them.
Nah,
Like,
because truthfully, obviously you got Jones. I'm looking at the list right now.
sure,
Um, you got Cyril Gain, Aspinall, uh, Poplovich,
Poplovich
and
he was
Miocic.
undefeated, you know. But okay,
Other than that, and even then, the matchups matter because Game might lose to Aspinall or Poplovich, but he might beat Stipe.
yeah,
And you know what I'm saying? But besides that, like Curtis plays him for. I've been saying that for a while. When I used to tell my homeboy about Derek
mhm.
Lewis, I'm like, they're gonna always give him fight nights, but he's never gonna win a belt.
Nah, he's a cowboy of the heavyweight division, man. He's a
Yeah.
Donald Cerrone
Same
of
thing
the
with Tai
heavyweight division.
Tuivasa,
Yeah, he's gonna replace essentially
Derek Lewis.
Lewis. He's gonna replace
Uh-huh.
because Lewis is up there in age. I mean, I know he signed a new deal, but like let's face it, like Lewis, I don't know how many more fights he's got left. Um, I love watching him fight and knock people out, but like yeah, like Ty's on a terrible losing streak right now. Hopefully he still sticks around. But you like to have like these guys that are reliant and take fights, but at the same time you kind of get tired of seeing them because like they're just going to be nothing but gatekeepers. And I hate using that term like it's like a slur, but there's truth to it. There's a reason why it became a thing. You know why gatekeeper is a thing because essentially these guys become gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And that people are scared about that with like Max Holloway, another person who's think that he might become a gatekeeper, but
He already is.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're pretty much right because he couldn't be fucking Volk.
3 times, and he refused to move anywhere else because he still thinks he can beat him. But at this point, now with Volk getting knocked out twice in a row, you got your best shot, brother.
Yeah,
If they somehow make you get a fourth fight, give it your all. But after that, just retire because you're not going to any other division and winning.
yeah, I know it's strange. I mean, I think he could beat people
He
at
could fight.
135. He could beat
He could
people.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not winning no belt.
Well, but we'll see. Like, I don't want to
Just
move
write him
forward the
off.
conversation either,
Yeah.
too. But like he could change a lot of people's minds if something goes down this weekend. So
Yeah. I would say no. We can't write him off.
he can't.
My man been working. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So actually, that takes us right into our conversation.
All right.
Yeah, because we pretty much both talked about what we thought Alex's resume and status would be if he wins and loses. So definitely, I think we're both on the same page there.
Okay.
But moving on to the next conversation, we pretty much just brought up Max Holloway, and obviously he's fighting for the BMF belt against Gaethje this weekend. Both of them are still top lightweight contenders. Islam Makhachev is the champion of that weight class. On this card as well, besides Gaethje, you also got Oliveira, former champion, versus Sarukian. I always say that wrong. I actually say all these players or fighters'
Yeah,
name
Armin.
wrong.
You could just say Armin, man. I know I can't say it.
Yeah. So you got Olivier, former champ, versus Armin, another top contender. And then obviously we got Dustin just previously winning his fight, now looking for a shot. So that division, since basically Khabib retired, kind of got left in disarray. And we already knew how stacked of the division it was.
It really
Some of it,
was.
I would say most people do believe that's the most competitive division in the organization.
Yeah, that and 170.
Yes, 100%. Yep. So once Khabib left, there was really just a lot of people just trying to figure out who's going to win the belt. Charles Oliveira stepped up, and not just a lot of people, but me. I honestly had no faith in him, and I picked him to lose in his first two title defenses. I did not think he had it in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
proved us wrong. At this point, that boy's a dog, and I'm waiting for him to get a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he got the belt, and he held it for a year until he lost to Islam. Islam got the belt, made 2 title defenses, but both of those title defenses were against Alexander Volkanovski, who moved up to try to become double champ. So at this point, it is a very stacked division. Islam got the belt from Charles. Charles got injured, couldn't defend it. Islam fought someone from another division and have yet to defend his own title.
Essentially,
in his own division, basically.
Yeah, to it's an actual 155er, yeah.
Yes, yep. So we got 4 top contenders fighting on this 300 card. Gaethje, Holloway, you have to throw him in there. Oliveira, and Saryukin, because if Holloway wins, that might allow him to maybe think he can move up, and be, all right, I got it in me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I throw him in there. But obviously, you also got Dustin Poirier, who just won recently, and Michael Chandler, who had a chance to win the belt when he lost to Oliveira. So one of the conversations I wanted to have today was just, with Islam having his first title defense this year, he has to have it this year, and probably maybe another one if he wins, or just 2 title fights in the lightweight division. Who do you think is walking away with that championship belt at the end of 2024?
Might still just be Islam, because for all we care, he might just be inactive. Because some of these these fighters, man, they're able to talk to the UFC and hey, I get an exemption for this and that, But meanwhile, you have people like Khalil Muhammad, who fights during Ramadan, you got
a lot of people do a lot of stuff, competition and sports wise during Ramadan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then there's and Khabib got the same flack a bit, but at this point, I think he was more active than Islam.
Way more active.
And more active than Leon Edwards. Look, I like Leon. Congratulations to him. I still wish it was Kamaru, but Leon, come on.
Where you at?
Where you at? Come on. You should have. He should have been on this card. And I don't want to get into that. I don't want to sidetrack. But look, I for all I care, Islam's walking away because he didn't defend it this year. He might just walk. He might get a slot. I don't know. And for all we care,
it's crazy. I didn't think that was going to be an answer, but you are actually more likely right.
Yeah.
Than anything else. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, we're already in month 4. He probably won't even have anything lined up till the middle of the year. And if that doesn't get lined up, October, the rest of the year is almost already done until about October. By middle summer, you get October, November, December left.
And he's clearly he favorites Abu Dhabi. Both fights have been in Abu Dhabi, man.
I don't even think that's him. I think that's Dana.
It might be, the royalty over there requesting.
Yeah, because I don't.
It could be. You might be right.
Yeah,
you might be right. And they probably cut a nice check. Hey, make sure you give us Islam on top of that, and here's some secret money to here's your little under the table money. Something. I hear you. That's very possible. But hey, we're not experts. We're not journalists. We don't know that. And even then, I'm sure we don't want to leak that information anyways, because we might have.
James called me and he told me.
But yeah, and even then, he might still be champion, and I'll throw him a bone. He might face Leon this year, because he wants that fight too. He wants to move up. Yeah, wants to move up. He wants to be a double champ. He wants to do what Khabib didn't do. And to be fair, again, to Khabib's credit, he never wanted to move up like that unless it was against George St. Pierre, and that was just
he didn't care about it.
Yeah, but he was just wanted to face him just to say who was better. That was it. And now people kind of miss Khabib now, because he was clearly more active, and he knew, and he stuck to where he wanted to. Here, Islam is chasing money fights, which, props to him. But I just wish he would have defended the title at least to one top 5.
Yeah, already at this point.
Yeah, but
granted, Oliveira did get injured.
Yeah,
no
that's
one else
true.
could have stepped up. So the second one, I don't blame him. Yeah. But at this point, a lot of people weren't happy with all right, why'd you call out Dustin now when Gaethje's been sitting there this whole time?
Yeah, that's a valid argument. Yeah, because Gaethje's the one that beat Poirier.
He's been waiting. Yeah. As soon as he hit that head kick, he was like, "Where you at?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now that he's tied up in the BMF, now he wants to fight Poirier. So he stalls. He stalls. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
But he doesn't have to fight any of these guys, because Dana might just give
They're all
him what
fighting
he
each
wants,
other.
and he might give what the fans want, which is like two tough competitors. And I will say Islam is a tough competitor, and
Oh yeah,
Leon, let's like he's got that leg kick, man. He's got that crisp point system striking.
mm-hmm.
That that helped
Technical.
him, technical, yeah, that got him the ridiculous win streak he's on now. So like, it's possible that we might see Islam still be champion, and there's a possibility he might be double champion, or he gets nothing, and just remains, 155 champ, but never defended it this year, and
That's
has yet to defend it,
crazy.
and it's possible, and it's not to shit on the guy. It's just
Yeah.
it's just purely on what he said, what he's put out there in the socials, and how things are now, because super fights are always made. We saw it with Izzy. Izzy went up, but at least with Izzy, he defended the belt against killers himself, and then he
Man
moved up.
went to war 3 times a year.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
never take any Izzy slander or Usman. Like I won't
Exactly.
hear it.
No, I
Them
won't.
boys
Yeah,
went to war every 3 to 4 months
yeah,
on schedule.
yeah.
Whoever it was, they lapped the division twice. Like
You cheered for their loss only because after they shitted on you picking them to lose,
yeah,
and
yeah,
because you
yeah.
hate how they talk, and I get it, but
No,
still,
trust me, Izzy's cringe.
he is definitely cringe,
Izzy's definitely cringe. But at the
but
end of
not
the
as
day,
cringe
the
as
man had the
Cejudo,
skills. Yeah,
the king of
I
cringe.
literally had that conversation, and when I say my homeboy said what I said,
Uh-huh.
and I responded what you said, the same like
He's
you already
cringe.
know, man. So
He's
Hudo's
cringe.
literally king of cringe.
Literally what he calls himself, and that's what you
That's
got to
so
lean into
funny.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what
Um,
MMA is too now. It's about being a spectacle, and that's what Connor brought.
yeah,
He brought that. He brought
trying
that
to
to the
get that
table,
money.
trying
Yeah,
to get that
and
money,
some
trying to
people
get
just
super
aren't that
fights.
good at it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Islam is doing his version of it in a more respectful way. Some people don't
he's
like it. Some
trying.
people and like I said, I'll throw him a bone. Like he might face Leon this year. Is it what we want? Not really. I want to see Leon defend the belt again because he's already defended it twice, which is great. But I would like to see him
Yeah,
defend it again, preferably Belal Muhammad. That boy deserves a chance. And then Islam, he needs to fight someone in the top five. Like please, and
yeah.
then we could talk super fight. But again, I'm not the matchmaker. I'm not the president of the UFC, and you know, it doesn't. The fans can't dictate this. They can't do fan voting. If it was, I'm
Right.
pretty
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
we'd,
yeah.
we'd see some
And
crazy matches.
Dana would not even care.
Yeah, exactly.
If they did fan voting, Dana would be like, "Cool, I got this." But so like I said, when I thought about this conversation, this is gonna be a good topic. I did not think about that answer, but that you took it to a whole nother realm.
Yeah,
And like I said, that's definitely plausible.
it is possible.
So if he finally gets a shot to defend his belt at his own weight class against one of the top five, who would you want to see? And I'm not. I'm gonna ask you afterwards. And you could probably just say afterwards.
Hmm.
Who do you think, if you think, can beat him in that top five? So don't. I imagine the person you want to see might be the person who give him the best shot, but it might not be. So who do you want to see him face when it comes to the top contender? And is there a top contender you think that actually can beat his in his own weight class?
Oh man.
Like I said, we got
Yeah.
Poirier, Oliveira, Gaethje, Chandler, and maybe Holloway. You could throw him in there just for funsies.
Yeah. The one thing too is like, if you think about it, if Holloway wins, they're gonna insert him into the lightweight.
Yeah, there he has to.
They'll
Yeah, yeah.
they'll they'll, they'll insert him. I don't know if he'll
And
get
right
top
in the
five.
top three.
I yeah,
I think
I
he'll
think
get top
so.
five, fight in top three.
Yeah, I think they would, because Chandler came in, debuted in the UFC, and when he won, they immediately put him in like the top
And
five.
then been absent for 2 years.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, no, Chandler was pretty active, but he's been absent now because
For
of
the
the
Connor.
McGregor stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he did, he at least was active by coaching, and
He
so that's
was that
active.
first year. He was active. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
he was very active, which is what earned him the title, and then Oliveira knocked him out,
Mhm.
which everyone's surprised. But at one point, I was rooting for Benil Dariush. And then it went downhill for him. I
Died
feel
out.
like
Yeah.
that he would the winning streak he was on, the way he was winning fights. Man, if he had beaten Oliveira, he probably would be in the conversation. He'd probably easily be top three, if not number one, and that would be my pick but it's just gone all downhill for him, unfortunately. The guy that beat him is Armin Sakarian. I don't even know how to say his last name. Sakarian, yeah, Armin, who he knocked out. Armin knocked out Benny like night and night.
Yeah, that was a bad knockout. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's been downhill since then.
Yeah, and so Armin like he put that I didn't know about Armin until he fought Benny and knocked him out like that. So that put him on the map, and clearly it did because like now he's in the top 5. He's number 4. Gamrot, who Benny beat, I think, with a spinning back fist, or was it a decision? I can't remember. I gotta go back and look. Is now in the top 5, ranked higher than Benny. So Gamrot has bounced back, but honestly, you would have to pay attention more to the top 4. People still want Charles to get redemption, and I think that's who I want to see. I want to see that grappling fight because he lost via basically knockout / then choked out, which sucked for him.
Yeah.
But I want to see that rematch. I want to see what happens if they go all out and it doesn't end after 2 rounds. I want to see them go close to 5 rounds. I want to see them go back and forth in the grappling department because they're both grapplers. He's Dagestani. Of course, he's gonna know what's the martial arts that they know. I already forgot off the top of my head. Sambo. He's a Sambo champ. He's a Sambo master, and he learned from the best.
That's why that BBJ versus Sambo matchup, and that's why I said. So, do you think Oliveira has the best shot out of the top 4, out of Gaethje, Poirier, and Armin?
MMA math would dictate no, because since he lost to him, then no, because round 2 is usually has been Charles's round because round 1 he always chokes in. That you saw that in the Dustin fight, you saw that in the Chandler fight. He got dominated in round 1. Round 2 is when he beat them. He choked out Dustin. He choked out or knocked out Michael Chandler. So round 2 has been the last couple years. The later rounds have been Charles's favors, but up until the title fight, it wasn't. And that was crazy. He came back, beat Benny Dariush in round 1. So like he's on a streak. Well, he could get on a streak because right now he's on a 1. If he beats Armin, then you have to make the matchup. You have to make the matchup to settle to see if it was a fluke, because obviously it wasn't. But there's people out there who will consider it a fluke because it was, so fast. And you could argue because Charles was missed weight, I believe. Yeah, he had missed weight the previous fight. So he missed weight the previous fight against Justin. So which he also beat in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
But he got stripped. So there was some weight cutting issues clearly, or maybe some mishaps with the scale that he got screwed over. So he wasn't mentally there too by October when he fought his and lost for the vacant UFC lightweight belt. So, I think there is still time. There's something there that could happen for Charles. He's still young enough that he could make it. He's only 34. That's still prime. So I think it's Charles who we could see. And if not, my next top number 2 or even tie for number 1 could be Gaethje. You can never knock out Gaethje. You can't knock him out. I mean, you could knock him out in reality. He's gotten knocked out, but you can't knock on him.
Yeah, no. That's definitely mine as well. Definitely want Charles. And if Charles was to get a shot, I hope Gaethje get a shot as well. I've definitely been a fan of what's their coach name? The one that coach him, Usman, and Rose.
Trevor Whitman.
Yes, yeah. So I was a big fan when he switched over to Trevor. So I've been following a little bit more closely. So I definitely do think his defense improved. So obviously he's a banger already, and like you mentioned, he's a good wrestler. So I definitely think Oliveira, then Gaethje. Yeah, that's my pick. Perfect. So yeah, crazy. I didn't think about that one option of just no one. He's just gonna keep it from not fighting because, definitely true.
But I mean, he has defended the belt twice, like you said. You pointed out. It just so happens that it just happened to be Volk because the second one was
injury
supposed to be it was Oliveira. It was supposed to be Charles, and But that first fight was close with Volk. Super close. I thought it was closer than
So it's crazy. He definitely, I think he won the first fight.
Islam won?
Yes, but razor thin. And it did nothing to move him up in my head as pound for pound. Because a smaller guy just took you to distance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and even then, he's he's a stocky, shorter guy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it was razor thin. Obviously, we all know how the second one came out. So yeah, so great combo there. And that leads us to our last conversation. We're gonna switch it up and go to the women's. So obviously, the co-main event for this card is Weili Zhang defending her strawweight belt against Yan, and that's all I'm gonna say because I'm not even gonna pronounce that last name right. So we'll just leave it at that. But that's not actually what I'm here to talk about. Technically, I'm here to talk about Weili, but not just Weili. So, just going into kind of the history of the strawweight belt, and I promise it's gonna sound like what is he talking about, but I got a point. Since the strawweight division was created in 2014, we have now seen 8 champions. 5 of them are repeats. That includes Weili, Joanna. Obviously, Weili and Joanna was probably the best women's fight we've ever seen. The first time they fought. Jessica Jandre. Obviously, Rose that we just talked about with Trevor Whitman, and Carla Esparza, who Weili just won it from last year. So that is the vision. It's only been around for 10 years. Already changed belt 8 times. 5 of those are the same woman. So obviously, there's top contenders. There's good women in that division who could fight, but that belt still seems to keep changing hands. Flyweight division, the next division up, we got Valentina Shevchenko, won the belt in 2018 off of Joanna, and pretty much 7 title defenses for 5 years undefeated before she lost it to Alexa Grasso last year. Then we pretty much go to the bantamweight division. And if you know anything about the bantamweight division, you pretty much know Amanda Nunes. Obviously, Ronda Rousey won the belt first, lost it to Holmes. Holmes lost it to Tate. Tate lost it to Nunes. Nunes went on a rampage that pretty much damn near cemented herself as the MMA GOAT. And that's basically what I want to talk about. And that's kind of why I went through that history. Yeah. What Nunes was able to do in the bantamweight division, 5 years without a loss, 5 title defenses. 2018, during that time, they created the featherweight division. She stepped up, won the belt there, went 2 years undefeated there. Technically, it was 5, but she didn't fight in that weight class for 3 years. Right. So what she's been able to reel off pretty much during those like 7-8 years, the dominance that she had, like I said, she cemented herself as the MMA GOAT. Will we ever see a run like that? And the reason why I say that, because obviously we got Weili. If she wins, how much more do we need from her to, okay, maybe we can consider her that, or is it too late? And another reason why I also bring it up is probably the one person that everyone expects or can think that say, hey, I think this person can become that level is Kayla Harrison, who is from PFL. If you know who she is, we'll probably go into that a little bit more later after I, hear your opinion. But she pretty much is also having her UFC debut against Holly Holm this week as well. So basically, is there ever going to be another woman, or not ever, but just right now in the UFC right now, is someone else going to give us that kind of run, or is it too late for that? Because at this point, the competition is just getting so much better. Is that possible anymore?
That's a loaded question, my friend.
I know.
It's cool though, but that's the stuff you got to ask and just ponder. It could have been Weili, but she lost to Rose. Rose outclassed her as much as she protested. I mean, it definitely could still be Weili. Not every champ that goes undefeated is the best, as you have depicted. You don't think Khabib is top 5, and that's perfectly fine. And because there's arguments for that all throughout, and there's good arguments for that. Not just nonsense. Not because you just hate the guy because he was boring, or because he was a grappler. No, it's because there's legit questions about the competition he faced and comparing it to other. But same time, different time frames. Nunes and Weili both were around at the same time. Obviously, Amanda fought killers in the UFC, killers at 135, went up to 145 and fought essentially the boogie woman of all women fighting in Chris Cyborg, and that right there cemented her legacy right then and there. And then she just added on to it. And then she added on to it again after she lost and said, like, I can bounce back and win. And she did.
Yeah.
She lost. It was a crazy underdog.
The biggest underdog we probably... Is it still the biggest we ever seen?
It's one of the... I know people go back and forth. It's between Matt Serra versus GSP and then Amanda.
I think it might have been two. Yeah.
Amanda versus the Vixen.
Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
That's because them odds changed real quickly in that first round.
Yeah. I feel like should never be allowed, but whatever.
Yeah.
I wish I would have bet money.
Yeah.
But
Before,
yeah. But like it's tough. It's really, really tough to think. But it could be Weili. It could have been Valentina Shevchenko, but she getting lost. But hey, she could
right there.
She was right there, but she could come back. You know, she can come back. I mean, she's still relatively young, but she can come back and go on this massive, massive win streak. And you never know. It's just but the way that Amanda did it was pure dominance. It was pure dominance. Whether you agree or disagree, it's still dominance because guess what? She didn't lose until she lost to and people have argued, and you could definitely confirm it, in my opinion, because she won it back. It was a fluke victory because she gassed out. She went into the fight sick. She was recovering from COVID. And I get that might be an excuse, but
she overlooked her. Yeah.
And on the other same time, it's like it's not an excuse. It's just merely an explanation. She still lost. Went on her record, but guess what? She wrote that wrong, and then she retired and wrote off to the sunset twice. She won, and she went on another win streak.
No, I was about to say she after Pena, she gave it one more.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then, and then she retired.
Who I was rooting for, and then
she was a good option.
She was.
But it's funny that you say that too, because as you mentioned, wins, losses, not really killing legacies. Juliana Pena being Amanda Nunes did nothing to her legacy in my mind.
No, it didn't.
Like she didn't drop. Like, you know what I'm saying? It did nothing. So you're right, Weili. Could give us a couple, and that's the thing. Like, do it have to be a few more years? Because with Valentina, she's a lot closer. To me, Valentina's a lot closer. She's probably the one that's right behind for me. Because before Alexis Grasso, the only one she lost to pretty much was Nunes. Yeah. And I think if they were, I always wanted them to fight again.
Me too.
At Valentina's weight class.
Yeah.
But
that would have been hard. Amanda was never going to make that weight.
She was never ever going to make it. Yes.
No, she was never make that weight.
Yeah, so that's why that was never going to happen. But I think that strength with a couple more pounds played a part.
Absolutely.
How Valentina fight. Yeah. So
but she's
I definitely
close to beating her.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like I really think Valentina is the one that's right behind. And obviously we have to see what happens to her trying to come back. And I don't know if they actually scheduled anything with Alexa. They haven't.
No, it's just but they are the next coaches for the Tough House.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
But it's probably going to be another rematch.
Yeah, so I'm with that. I'll take that. But I'm actually thinking that is the flyweight, and
there's also Tatiana Suarez, who unfortunately had lost like 2 or 3 years of her career. I think it was 3 because of cancer. And she was on a crazy win streak. She beat Alexa Grasso. So
but she it looked like she's back strawweight.
She went down to strawweight again.
She's actually next in line for this Weili.
Okay.
Weili
I couldn't remember. Where she was posting because like she could do it.
Some girls really move up and down, which is good. It is
good. It's good. The one who definitely moved up and down was Andrade. Andrade fought at 135, and she's like 4'11". I don't know how. She found a way to
and get herself in contender fights in all 3 divisions. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. And obviously she touched the belt. So you can't say nothing about that. Yeah. And then Rose was another one for me. She had the potential, but obviously pretty much when she had to fight a wrestler, it was over.
Mm-hmm.
Andrade kind of shut that, not Andrade, or Esparza shut that down.
Yeah.
And just for her to get beat the hell up by Whaley.
Yeah.
So I don't know if and then that was a boring fight. So I don't know if they're gonna give her those headliners again. So yeah, so for me, Valentina was right there. I think a couple good more years with Valentina. But you're right. Whaley is a 2-time champion. Obviously, she's not no scrub. And I think after a certain point, she could just move up and start contending there if she really wants to.
Yeah, she could definitely do 125. And I'm sure Alexa used to fight, I think, at strawweight as well, too, before they opened up
I'm
125.
pretty sure all the top contenders
Yeah.
fought at strawweight.
Yeah, exactly. They just made that brutal cut. I mean, to some, it might have not
Most of
been
them
that
had
brutal.
babies, got a little bit older. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like age plays a big factor. Cycles, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I have more
I
props.
can't lose weight easily no more, man.
Yeah. So I don't props to
At
the ladies
30s.
who have to like cut weight, especially when they're on like their monthly cycle. I know they have to plan around that. Props to them. So like I want to see a super fight with the women's because we don't get those enough. Like
Yeah, now that Amanda's out the way, it's
yeah.
free.
Like 145 doesn't even exist anymore. I don't even think the belt exists.
I know. So I'm literally, that's why I said Amanda defended it for 2 years, but the last 3 years, no one's fought.
It was just a
technically, and I don't even know how this happened because unless I missed this fight, but Raquel Pennington is the bantamweight champ.
Yeah, man, they fought for the vacant belt.
Oh, I'm gonna say because when was this? I did not see this.
Okay, you could be forgiven, and I really hope you got MMA fans out here because they're gonna find this hilarious. You'd be forgiven because no one really cared about this fight, and everyone hated it. Everyone was like shitting on it. I personally didn't hate it that much, and also I have a soft spot for Raquel. I like Raquel. Also, her nickname's Rocky, so like you gotta root for someone named Rocky. In my opinion, that's me. But like it was good. And Raquel has been with the UFC for a long time, so it was nice seeing a veteran of the UFC.
No, so I know the name, but I was like in my head, I remember Amanda retiring.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
You could be forgiven because everyone did not care about.
I was like, when did Raquel get the championship? But yeah, so obviously, as we talk about the bantamweight, wide open, don't really seem like there's much going on. But for some reason, somehow now we're getting Kayla Harrison from PFL, who was technically a flyweight in
no.
PFL. Was it flyweight?
She was a lightweight. She fought at 155, bro.
No.
She fought at 155.
There's nowhere near that close in UFC. She ain't getting that.
But she's fighting at 135, bro. I think the fight the fight's at 135.
It's a bantamweight. Yeah, it's a bantamweight.
I don't. She's made bantamweight maybe once. I could be wrong.
Jesus.
I don't know how. When they signed her, I'm like, how the hell is she gonna make 135?
You're right. She was a featherweight.
She was a featherweight lightweight. She fought at lightweight.
God,
PFL exclusive.
Years. Yeah.
PFL, it was just strictly lightweight. She had one fight at 145 with Invicta, which is for people who don't know, that Invicta is an all-women's MMA promotion. So,
so I seen that in the just thrown in between PFL. So you actually might know more. Was she on contract dispute or what happened there?
Not dispute, but like they were trying to resign her
so she went and tried something else. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, where did that one fight come from? Like, how did she go? I'm saying, like, how do you go to another audience? So like, I'm like, yeah, she must have been in between contracts there. So that's another thing too. A lot of people PFL 16-1 record. A lot of people think she's now potential to be one of the best women fighters in the world. I feel like obviously no one would take her serious until she came to the UFC. Because at that point, we want to see you fight the best competition. So what do you kind of expect from her? Like, do you got high hopes? Do you think she could make a small mark, a big mark? Because at this point, I'm looking through that bantamweight division and like, there's not much there.
She could easily run through these ladies, but
oh yeah, she'll run through.
I need to see her make weight first, bro. Friday is gonna be very interesting, bro.
Yeah,
if you look at her list, she's never fought.
I didn't put two and two together. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, she fought for the featherweight division, but like, I've been doing so many research for fights, it didn't even dawn on me. I just thought flyweight.
Mm-hmm.
But like as soon as you said it, I'm like, wait, and I'm like, yo, no, she did fight featherweight. That's crazy.
No, bro, it
Yes,
was lightweight.
I knew
Lightweight.
she was so, and it's
Yeah,
funny because I knew she was
yeah,
gonna. Oh yeah, you're right, lightweight.
yeah.
So I knew she was gonna have trouble making weight, but I thought bantamweight was their solution to that. You're right. She is gonna have trouble making bantamweight. That's
Cause
crazy.
no one's ever seen her make 135 ever. If you
Exactly.
look at her MMA record, it's all
Yeah.
been 155, 155, 145 fight, and that's it. So I don't know. I mean, I'm happy for her. Hopefully, they gave her a good contract and not the one they gave Patty when he first signed, which was the 12K minimum, 12K to show up, 12K to win. Um, so yeah, it's like I hope she's getting that money. I hope I mean clearly she wouldn't have signed if it wasn't for that because the
Yeah.
PFL she became a millionaire.
Or
Like
you also got to remember and that's another thing why I wanted to bring up too. She's
hmm
33. How
I
long
know.
does she have left? She might want to make that one big last contract,
Yeah, that's true.
be a little
And also like
active, you know.
she's and that's the other thing like she's made cuts to one because I think let's face it like I've seen the that fighter and she's big. She's
She's
strong. She's a
huge.
strong. She's also not short. She's 5'8".
Oh, she's 5'8". Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean she's taller than me. I'm only 5'6".
And
So like
I'm 5'3", bro. She's definitely taller than me. She
yeah,
could pick
she's
me
jacked.
up and throw me around.
She's
And
jacked.
as strong as she is, judo's her background. So like,
Yeah. So like
she'll throw you around like a
she can
yeah,
ragdoll a lot of these girls
yeah,
in 135, but it's a matter of can she make the weight? Can she truly make the weight and continue to make that weight? Because when you get older, cutting weight isn't easier. But some people do it. Like Frankie Edgar, as he got older, was able to cut down to 135. Wasn't the best move because the competition just got harder.
no,
Obviously.
and I think after Nunez had her baby, and I've seen a couple of interviews. Like obviously, I kind of know, but like I feel like for women who have to go post pregnancies, oh, it's so hard for them to cut back down to like 125, 115.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
what?
with Nunez, at least with her, I don't think she carried her second kid. It was her wife who carried it. So
Yeah, yeah,
she didn't have to go through that. But even then,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's still having a kid is a life-changing experience. And,
Not even that. You got the dad bod. You know what I'm saying? Even the
yeah,
people
you
who
got,
don't carry the kid,
yeah,
we get in that
you're
belly.
not
So
getting sleep. It happens to the
yeah,
male
yeah.
fighter. Obviously, the male fighters don't have to carry the kid for 9 months. So
Right, right.
they're spared from that. But the sleep and everything, like your training, all have to line up with your kid's schedule too now. You can't be an absentee parent. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
Kayla, she chose to do MMA later in life after she was successful. I think she's had kids too, and she's been just a crazy MMA fighter. I was always trying to tune into her fights when I could. It was just
I've
to
been waiting
me,
for her to come over for years.
but it's just crazy because like when she first debuted, and I'm like 155. What the hell? What are you eating, lady? And I saw her. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense.
Bro, her upper body is just so jacked, bro.
Like,
It makes no sense. Yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah.
she's passed drug testing. She seems to be all
No,
natty.
I promise you, you would definitely think she's on some sort of steroids.
No,
A
of
hundred
course,
percent. Yeah,
absolutely, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
people thought for Cyborg, which
Mm-hmm.
she did get
Yep.
popped once, but apparently she's been clean ever since. So, and Amanda also never, even though Amanda never had a crazy physique, but like she was powerful as hell.
That power. Yeah, she was definitely powerful. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, no. So how long do you think we got for Harrison?
well, I think the contracts are usually a 3-fight contract, maybe sometimes 5. So you spread those out. So it's probably like a 1 or 2 year deal she got.
Okay.
And then
She did say
that's what.
she wanted to be active.
So
She
it
promised us
truly
that.
depends on her. It depends on her in the UFC. So and mainly her because she has to win. If she doesn't win, they can cut her or they just let her contract expire and that's it.
Or
But
are they gonna have opponents? Like I'll be honest,
yeah,
not trying to be funny, but if I'm Holly Holm, obviously she signed up first. But like if I'm someone like Misha Tate, I'm not taking this fight.
I know. And Misha just
It's
got
not a
back from the
belt.
winnings.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for some of these women are not gonna want to take this fight because
But
it's
I
not gonna get them
honestly,
closer.
honestly, I could see Misha going after because Misha's a BJJ. She's a
Yeah.
BJJ girl,
He
and
might go
she choked out
scrap it.
Holly Holm. Also, I kind of want to see Holly Holm and Misha go scrap it again because they
That's
need.
what I want to see for
I
old
want to see
time's
that
sake.
too. Yeah, for real.
Yes. Yeah. Like I
Um,
was happy when Misha came back. Yeah, yeah.
so
But yeah,
we'll
I'm
see.
looking. Irene Aldana's another one they got.
Yeah, she got some hands. She's slick with the boxing. But I don't. But she got outclassed by Nunez. That was her retirement fight
Her
against
last fight.
Irina.
Yep.
So I don't
Mm,
know. I look. I like Rocky, but I don't think she will
beat
have the
Kayla.
belt. I don't think she could beat Kayla. I don't think they'll thrust Kayla into the title fight right away. But Rocky versus
Guarantee
Kayla.
you, Kayla win. They force feed to Juliana.
Nah,
I think they do.
I think Juliana and Raquel are gonna scrap for that belt. I think they owe it to Juliana a bit because
I mean, she didn't get that title shot for no reason.
exactly,
And obviously she won, even though we all knew she was gonna lose again. But obviously
Yeah,
she did herself. She got herself there.
yeah. She tried to prove herself. It just didn't work out how it was. She lost all her rounds, but
So that's.
she didn't get knocked out. She didn't get knocked out, and she didn't get submitted. So she has a dog in her. All right.
But let's be real. I think Amanda had every intention of dragging that woman
That's
for
true.
5 rounds.
And that's what she said after the fight. It's like I wanted to show that
She.
I could do it.
Oh man, it
She's
was brutal to watch.
yeah, like that's some goat shit right there. Like I said, like
It was
I
brutal
know I
to
could have
watch.
ended it,
Yeah.
and let's face it, you watched that fight, I watched that fight, we all watched that fight. She did not go after her. She could have easily
No.
knocked her out on the
Yeah.
ground.
And she dropped her a couple
She dropped
times. Like, come
so
on, get
many
up,
times.
get
That's
up.
why that's why like one judge scored it like 42 or 43, I think at one point. So because some of them gave her I think a 10-8 round or even 10-7.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them scored it really low for
28, got you.
so
Yeah, that's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I think we got a lot to look forward to this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of things to pay attention to. A lot of eyes should be on this card,
Mhm.
even though to some it's lackluster, to some it was hyped up, to some it is the best, and it's best, and it's a good 300 card. It's a good, nice rounded number card. But
Yeah.
either way, you have to watch and you have to keep your eyes on it. You have to.
Yeah, because definitely too. I mentioned them in the beginning, but we didn't talk about them. But Aljamain Sterling at featherweight, I I want to see how this plays out. I want to see what's next for him.
I'm rooting for him.
Definitely, yeah, I like Aljamain. Bo Nickel, see what we see from him. And
Yeah,
then
make or
Davis
break.
and Figueiredo, I want to see if he can get it back on a streak.
Yeah, he's already won his 135 debut. Cody's
Mhm.
trying to still bounce back after
Knockout.
after all those knockouts, especially after
Oof.
TJ took his soul twice.
Oh, then also Kai France.
Oh yeah, Kai took his soul
That was
too,
brutal.
but that was on 125, and
Yeah.
Cody's just a natural lanky, not lanky. He's a slender dude. He said on the Joe Rogan podcast he walks around 140, so he doesn't cut weight. He doesn't
Yeah.
cut to 135. So obviously it made sense to try to drop down to 125. That's 10 pounds. It's not bad. Some people are cutting 20, 30, 40 pounds. DJ used to cut a lot of weight to get to 125.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it just Cody's not meant to be a lighter guy. He's meant to be stuck in the middle.
I feel like he drops too much power.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens with any
And I don't get it.
I know.
Obviously, I'm not a fighter, but I'm like, how can you just not punch anymore? Like, what's going on? But it's like I don't want to say he got pillows for hands, but like that power is just a step. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
The speed is still
there.
there. Yeah, but the power isn't. And
It's the
usually speed
equilibrium.
means power, but
Yeah. I think hydration plays a big factor in that, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of, and also, I don't mean to disrespect anyone out there, and also the fans, but like, let's face it, there's a lot of weight bullies on this card.
a lot.
It's a lot of weight bullies,
and I feel like they just had no choice.
Yeah, I mean, Aljamain's fighting closer to what he should be, but that dude walks around like 170, 180.
Yeah, he's another one, and that's the thing. Like, I'll be honest, if I was a UFC, like, y'all want to talk all this junk about being MMA or if we walk around, we'll fight anyone. We're the real life gladiators and fight what you walk around with.
Exactly. Yep.
I wouldn't even allow people to cut weight.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even cut fight. That's the one thing I don't like about the fighting game. Fight with what you walk around with, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be fair though, I don't know if anybody I would want to fight anyone at 205 at my weight. I know.
I am 5'3" at 202, bro. I ain't fighting nobody either. Now me, I'm cutting to 120. I gotta fight somebody. I don't even know if I could physically ever do that.
Yeah, I know. Some of us are just built different too. Like, I pointed out him earlier in the big underdog fight. Matt Serra, he was 5'6". He used to fight at 155, but then he went up in weight, but won the 170 belt from GSP. To be fair, it was probably a fluke, but he still won the title and he knocked GSP out, and he was only 5'6". So
That's a fact.
he was just a stocky dude. And there's a lot of people here who
DC,
DC. He's
one of my favorite fighters of all time.
Listed at 5'11", and if you see pictures when you look at his pictures against with Khabib side by side, Khabib's taller.
I think he's 5'9".
He's 5'9". He's absolutely 5'9".
He's definitely. Yeah, I've said that for years. He's definitely 5'9".
But guess what he did? Guess what he did? He fucking tore the house down. He beat everyone at 205 and at heavyweight. Yeah, knocked out Stipe at heavyweight. So
yeah. John, I would say John Jones and that beef was it made me hate John for a while.
Really, I didn't know that.
Because I was such it's not hate, but it's like when you have a favorite fighter and you think no one could beat him, and then John came and I realized no one could beat John. It's like shit.
Yeah. No one has beaten John.
Yeah, like the only one who could beat John is John. Yep. Clearly, we all see that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he can't. Yeah.
Own worst enemy. So it didn't make me hate him, but I back DC, and like even now, like DC is one of my favorite. Like I love his commentating. Like I love his breakdowns. Like I just love DC as a person from what I see from the fight. And so I was a little hurt with John.
Yeah, I get you.
Especially because they hated each other.
I know, but when I went to quick story when I finally got into MMA, like for real, not watching on random screens in college. Like my first UFC pay-per-view for sure at a bar was DC versus Jones 2 in Anaheim, and man, we blew the roof off that bar. And there was
that's the one that made me hurt.
Yeah, I know, buddy. Especially looking back at it hurt me. Looking back at it, it hurt me because I do love DC, and also because Jones, like, he's just a shitty human being. Let's face it, he's a human being.
Yes, and that's why I was like, that was the one. I was like, fuck, the villain won again, man.
Yeah. At the time, I didn't look at him like that. I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
And then like a few weeks later, he got popped for a picogram. But then I guess it just was a no contest. And then he got apparently he was cleared of all wrongdoings. What is MMA so?
And not even that. I hear DC, like he always says, that also put a stop to his career.
Yeah, he counted it as a loss in his head too, mentally.
Yeah, not only did the 2 losses mentally, but then it turned into no contest. It kind of stalled. He kind of stalled for a year waiting to see if he was going to fight him again, and it just kind of basically his career was also never the same after that. Not like it dropped, but like it kind of put a stop to that train. Yeah,
and then he fought in the new year in January of the new year. He fought Ozdemir in Boston, and that solidified him that he can still do it. And then he wound up going up and beating Stipe. So
yeah, but I think that was a big part of it. He was like, I can't beat John, and then John found his ass up there too.
Well, yeah, he beat him up there, but like he didn't ever. They never fought at heavyweight. I would love to have seen that fight at heavyweight. That would have been different. I would like to have seen that. That would have been nice.
Yeah, we would definitely. That's what I say. We were supposed to get that third one.
I know,
but I don't know if that. I don't know if it would have been different.
I don't know if it would have been different, and I don't know if they were mentally ready for that, especially DC. I think he just wanted to move past John because he knew, as a person, he knew he was better than John. As a fighter, yeah, I don't know if he could trust himself in beating him, and I get it because he took a beating in that fight, man. He took a beating in that second fight.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I would say we've probably been here for. Probably an hour 20. Yeah,
that's not bad. I thought we'd be here longer, honestly, bro.
Yes, yeah. That's why I was like, I don't know what time it's gonna be, but I just know we're just gonna talk. So love the conversations. What ways I didn't even think of. Went on tangents that were great tangents. I know every tangent we have is always gonna be a good tangent.
I appreciate that.
So definitely thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Obviously. The fans, thank you guys for tuning in. I really had a good time. Before I go off on my little outro, go ahead and loop yourself in and loop your Three Amigos pod and everything you need to one more time, my man.
Yes, sir. It's the Three Amigos podcast with myself, Francisco, or Franky Rodriguez is the real name, the nickname, if you know. And my boys Christopher Langsdorff, Anthony Olan. We are the Three Amigos podcast. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Just type in Three Amigos podcast. It's the 3 brown dudes looking all nice and chipper from the teenage years. And we're just talking about, pop culture, everything beautiful that is pop culture. Just won't be talking about sports too much. We'll leave that to you, Melo.
Hey, and you know what? I had a great time this one. Obviously, I should be doing most of the main cards, as long as they're not trash. If they're
Eh,
honestly boring, I'm not
I don't
gonna waste
blame
my
you.
time.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't worry, but not. Hey, I'm a text away. If you think you don't want to watch it, I'll convince you to watch it, bro.
Hey, but either way, we can always have conversations. So
Oh,
obviously,
absolutely.
I would love to have you back. I
Please.
can't wait to edit this video and give the fans a taste of what we talked about. For those of you watching or catching this a later time, hope you stick around for a bit. Next up, we do have the NBA playoffs right around the corner, so I'll definitely be here for that. Here for any and all sports that I love. That's NFL, UFC, boxing, NBA, WNBA, NCAA football, basketball, both men's and women, and definitely a special for this year. I'm definitely going to be covering the Olympics, the Summer Olympics coming up in the
Ooh,
summer. Um,
yeah,
so
fancy.
definitely more guests coming on. I definitely want to have Franky on. So if he'll definitely come on, I'm sure he will. You'll definitely see more of Franky, definitely for these UFC fights, because always a
Please,
good person to
please.
talk to, especially with fights. Um,
I
so
appreciate
yeah,
that.
so YouTube is Melo_Madness, as well as TikTok while we still have it. And Twitch and Kick are Melo Madness Podcast, all together, no space. Go ahead and follow and subscribe. Three Amigos Podcast. You said on YouTube, and was it Spotify?
Hmm.
Yep. So definitely go ahead and subscribe and follow. And as always, thank you in for tuning into the Melo Madness. All right, that's it.